Hey guys, it's Mia, and today I'm going to be doing another get ready with me because I guess that's like the only videos that I can do. And I'm going to be talking about therapy versus medication and my own personal opinion. And I want to stress this because I don't want people coming after me criticizing anything that I'm saying because it's not factually correct or it's not recommended or anything like that. This is strictly my personal opinion. Anyone is entitled to their own opinion. Anyone is entitled to state their opinion in the comments. I'm not influencing anyone or I'm not trying to influence anyone to be taking drugs over therapy. Again, this is just my personal opinion and my advice that I can give it to you guys. You can do what you want with my advice. You can completely ignore it or you can go after it. Whatever you want to do. After blabbing and after giving that little intro, let's get into the video. I'm going to be using products that I haven't really used since literally all of my get ready with me videos have the exact same products in it. It's gonna be practically the same routine, but I just wanted to do like a talking video while getting ready so I can kill two birds or hit two birds. What's the saying? Hit two birds with one stone. I have no idea. This is my face right now. I am kind of breaking out-ish because I'm on my period. Let's kind of start first with my history with depression and anxiety and stuff like that. Again, trigger warning, this is just telling my story. I started noticing depression and anxiety at a really young age. When I was younger, probably up to even like 8th grade, I would get separation anxiety where I would be really uncomfortable being away from my mom or my family to the point where I would throw up or dry heave, and this really prevented me from spending the night over at friends' places even though I was like 13, 14, 15-ish, like old enough. And eventually I got over it, but that was kind of the start where I noticed that I had a lot of anxiety to the point where it was affecting, you know, like my everyday routine and how I felt. And then jumping into junior year, I dealt with a lot of depression, kind of because, like, you know, junior year is kind of where you're discovering yourself and trying to figure out life and figuring out where you come from. I actually self-harmed, and I know a lot of people are really confused on self-harm and why people even do it. For me, it helped me release like all of these emotions onto myself, if that makes sense. It just relieved the built-up stress that I had. It made me feel something or feel in control of the stress that I was experiencing. And I know that's definitely not the way that you're supposed to do it and not the way you're supposed to handle stress. It escalated to the point where, you know those rubber bracelets that were really popular back when I was in junior high? I would just wear a stack of those in order to hide my scars. And it was, I think I remember exactly the day. I don't remember the date, but I was in my science class in junior high, and apparently my science teacher saw cuts on myself, and she called the guidance counselor. They set me down, and I was really scared because I didn't know what the heck was happening. Once I got there, the guidance counselor set me down, and he was like, "Are you self-harming?" One of the teachers, she wants to remain anonymous, said that she saw cuts on your wrist and we want to know if you are hurting yourself. I was blatantly honest and I was like, yes, those are cuts on my wrist and I have been self-harming. I've been dealing with a lot of depression and emotions that I really don't feel like I could share with my family. Other backstory, I wasn't very close to my parents at all. We kind of disagreed on a lot of things, and I was struggling with the idea of being adopted and how my relationship with my parents was affected through being adopted and not knowing who my real parents are. Yada yada yada, that's for a different story, a different video. This freaking pimple is so annoying. So I told him, and he immediately called my mom to come pick me up. And he told her the situation, and she was fuming. She was so mad at me. She was like, why are you self-harming yourself? Like, why are you cutting yourself? Like, what's wrong? What's so bad in your life that you are hurting yourself? And, you know, I couldn't really give her the answer that she wanted. And it ended up with her literally closing herself into her bedroom for about 2 weeks and not talking to me at all. And it was a lot of stress because I was like, I'm going through a time like this and you're not helping me at all. You're doing like the exact opposite of helping me. So that caused me a lot of stress. Eventually she came out after I talked to my dad and talked to her eventually. And she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take you to therapy. So she took me to her therapist that she knows, and the therapist was just, you know, doing the therapy things like, why are you feeling like this? What's wrong with your life? So I told her my stress and depression and yada, yada, yada. She drew me like a diagram of my friends and all this other, my family, something about like spiraling down into a hole or something like that. And that's like exactly what I was doing, because I was like cutting myself off from everyone. And she was like, you need to focus on like what makes you happy, hanging out with people that are good influences. And, you know, that really helped me. And I stopped self-harming just like that. I think it was also influenced by the shock of what it had done to like my parents and how it had affected my parents, that I wasn't expecting it to affect them like that. And so I didn't want to put them through that again. So that was my first run-in with therapy. I had a really good idea about therapy. I felt really good about it. I thought that it was the way, you know, to balance out my life and my problems with depression and anxiety. Come high school, kind of college freshman year, I was again dealing with a lot of depression, to the point where I was thinking about self-harming again and possibly even suicide. This was mostly prevalent, and I can like put it in more detail, during my freshman year, first semester, when I was going to be having to go back to my spring semester. And I really did not want to go back because I was depressed and I hated being there. So I literally like maybe like a week before going freshman year, I had this mental breakdown where I just started crying in the car and telling my mom, I've been having suicidal thoughts, like I don't want to be here. I don't know how to deal with like this loneliness that I was feeling. And literally like the first semester of freshman year, every single night I was crying. I was getting in fights with my boyfriend. It was to the point where it was just really unhealthy. And I really did not know how to deal with it. So she was like, okay, well, let's put you into more therapy and see how that goes. And if there are any problems, let's put you on Lexapro. And you guys know that I have a lot of videos about my experience on Lexapro, both good and bad. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to stay calm. I'm just gonna try to deal with this. I think the main problem was I was going through a lot of things where like I didn't have a lot of friends freshman year, and I was literally going to class, going to my dorm, doing homework, and then going to bed. And that was every single day during that semester. So I was just dealing with a lot of loneliness. Once I got back, I made it a goal for me to go to therapy. And when I talked to the people, we have a program called CAPS. And that's where students go when they're having problems with depression and other mental illnesses or other mental problems or struggles, let's say that, because I hate when people make mental illness or mental anything a problem, because it's not, it's just who you are. A lot of the single therapy sessions were booked up, so I could only get into group therapy, and I was kind of bummed about that, but I thought that it would also kind of be helpful because you're meeting other people that have dealt with the same issues as you. Here's the powder that I'm using, if it will focus on something that's not my face. This is the powder that I'm using. Okay, moving on. So I went to group therapy. It was good in the moment. Like, once I got out of it, I felt great. I felt like I could take on the world. I felt really refreshed. But as the days would go by, and since I only did it once a week, you know, I would go back into like my spiral. And at this point in my college career, I was doing a lot better. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be using a palette for my eyebrows. It's the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, if it will focus on it. And so I was thinking that therapy wasn't for me and that I needed to go on to Lexapro. So I went on to Lexapro and immediately felt a difference. And I felt like the Lexapro was the main thing that really helped me with my depression and helped me with my anxiety. I cannot speak. I stayed on that, but then I also finally got into one-on-one therapy. So I went to one-on-one therapy, and my experience with that is that it was mainly just her having me talk and not a lot of her giving me advice on how to deal with any of my feelings. And I know in therapy you do have that talking component, but it was too excessive when I was going to therapy. Like, she was just like, talk as much as you want, talk about your problems, and I did, and then there would be like awkward pauses where I was waiting for her to give me advice on what I should be doing with what I was talking about. And that advice just never came. So that was a no-go. I kind of had the thought that, you know, therapy definitely is what you make it, but it's also who your therapist is. And if you don't click with your therapist, then you're just not gonna have a good time and you're not going to be getting the help that you need. And I wasn't getting that. So I decided to stop doing the one-on-one therapy and kind of just see where Lexapro would take me. And I noticed that I was literally like a whole different person. I could balance my emotions perfectly. I didn't get triggered at little small things. I didn't get mad at the people, my loved ones around me, for doing just things that you do as a human that I would get so angry about. It really changed my life and changed my mental health taking Lexapro. As you guys saw in my other videos, I was trying to get off of Lexapro because I didn't want to be dependent on a medicine, and I didn't want to be dependent on a drug to kind of balance my emotions. I wanted to take the initiative to kind of do that myself. And so I tried to get off of it and take the Super B complex. This is kind of going off my one video of am I off of Lexapro, but it didn't help. And going into finals, my second year of, was it my second year? No, it was my first year, sophomore semester, fall semester, I started having panic attacks. And I kind of talked about that in my other video, I think. If not, then I'm just gonna do like a brief explanation. But basically, every morning before my finals, I would start getting really panicky. I couldn't eat. There was a point where I was throwing up any of the breakfast that I was eating, and I had to call my parents crying until I just got all of that crying and anxiety and just bad feelings out of me. And so my mom was just like, whatever you're doing, whatever you're taking, it's not working for you. So you need to go back on Lexapro. And that's exactly what I did. Long story short, okay, we're gonna try to contour with this Fit Me stick. I have no idea. Hello? Focus. Okay, I'm going to try to contour with this Fit Me stick, but bottom line for me, my personal opinion is that, oh hell no, I don't know if this is gonna work. Therapy is what you make of it. And for me, it didn't work for me. Oh God, I have no idea how this is gonna go. I know it's probably flipped for other people, and other people think that therapy is more better than taking medicine because taking medicine isn't good for your body as a whole. There's tons of different opinions on it, but my personal opinion is that Lexapro really saved my mentality, saved my mental life, saved my relationship, and my health in all. Overall, not in all. What am I gonna blend this with? Let's see if we can, oh, this looks so bad. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna try to blend this out with my beauty blender. Yes, so I thought that taking Lexapro was a lot more helpful, and in the long term, definitely more helpful than having to go to therapy. I'm the type of person that if I don't get and I don't see results immediately, I'm just gonna give up. So That's how I felt with therapy and going to therapy, that I just wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, and I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. Okay, finally done with that. I don't even know if that made a difference at all. Just in my opinion, therapy didn't work for me. It wasn't the thing that was giving me the results as fast as I wanted them, even though it does take about 3 weeks to a month maybe for Lexapro to kick in. The overall effects of how it's made me more calm, more level-headed, doesn't make me immediately jump and try to do things with my emotions rather than my head, which has been something that has been a really big problem for me. It has really changed my life. I feel that anyone that has been dealing with anxiety and has been dealing with depression and hasn't really found that outlet or something that's helped them, I really do recommend going and trying Lexapro or trying anything based on, of course, what your doctor tells you to do, and seeing how that happens, because really and truly it is probably the easiest way to kind of get your life back and feel whole again. And I know that there's been a lot of talks or a lot of people saying that they've felt even more bad taking medicine. It's really just kind of based on what medicine works for you. Lexapro definitely caused me some living hell, but now that I've found the correct dose for me and the correct way to take it, it has helped me overall, and I feel the best that I've ever felt. If anyone has any advice on, I'm gonna be using this Hourglass mascara that I got for Christmas. This is what the brush looks like. Bottom line, I think that medicine is the way to go personally. And if you guys have any suggestions for me on what I could have done better in my therapy, or if therapy is the #1 thing that's helped you, I'm totally open to it. I'm definitely a firm believer that everyone should go to therapy at least once in their life. You don't have to have depression or anxiety to go to therapy. You can go to therapy just for everyday problems, and it's just so freeing to get someone who doesn't know you their opinion on what you should be doing and what can be helpful in your life. So I definitely think that it's a universal beneficial thing, and that's kind of an advantage that it has over medicine, because taking medicine is not something that should be recommended, I feel like, for every single person, because every single person is different. It's just what ultimately helped me deal with what I've been going through. I know you guys have watched my Lexapro videos, as I said before, and I'm really thankful for you guys for supporting me in that. I'm not going to be contouring my nose because I suck really bad at that, and I don't want to ruin the makeup that I have right now. So I'm just going to highlight my nose, like the tip of my nose, with this Master Chrome highlighter from Maybelline that my friend got me. So I don't know if this video was really helpful for anyone. I just kind of wanted to talk about it just because I know some of my friends just recently have been dealing with mental health things, and I was giving them advice on how to deal with it. Let's use a brush. I brought this little fan brush that I've never used before, and I don't know how to use it, so we're just gonna go with it. What I've suggested with my friends is definitely, if therapy doesn't work for you, try to talk to your doctor and find the recommended drug that she thinks will work for you, and try that out. And if you don't like it, you can get off of it. It's nothing that's super permanent. I definitely don't want to be, as I said before, reliant on Lexapro for the rest of my life. I want to be able to find a way to deal with my depression and anxiety in a way that is not reliant on medicine. But just being in college right now, I don't really have the time and or effort and or motivation to do anything that will take place of the Lexapro and that will help me right now. I hope that this video helped you guys or gave you guys some insight. I know it's kind of mostly rambling, but I wanted you guys to get to know a little bit about me and also share your own personal experiences and personal opinions on therapy versus medication. Just kind of a conclusion. Again, I think that therapy is great, but it didn't work for me. Lexapro has really been the thing that has tied me down and anchored me down back to feeling normal and being able to balance my life in a healthy way and balance my relationships. I'm very thankful to have parents that are very supportive of me taking medication, and I know that taking medication definitely has a stigma, especially in the United States. Still, even though we're trying to be mental health aware and all of that shit. The biggest takeaway that I want you guys to have from this video is that anyone having problems balancing their life, dealing with depression and anxiety, there's always a cure, and the cure is never to kill yourself. And I've been there before. I've been to the point where I'm like, maybe if I just zoom and run into a wall with my car, then everything will be okay. But that's not how it goes. Go to therapy, get medication if you need it. There's no shame in going to therapy, or no shame in getting medication. It's whatever makes you happy, and it's whatever that makes you healthy. That's my number one takeaway. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, I don't know if this helped at all, but I'm really thankful for anyone that watches my videos and, you know, takes some peace from them. So I will see you guys later, and I will upload another video soon, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye guys.